You ever wonder who decides what you learn in school and why? I mean, it's not just some random list of subjects, right? Behind every single lesson plan, there's this deep, almost invisible blueprint. And today, we're going to decode that blueprint curriculum theory.
Okay, so right off the bat, the source material throws this huge problem at us. It's a massive disconnect. You got the scholars, the academics, who think this stuff is essential, and then you have the teachers, the people actually in the classroom, who are often like, yeah, that's nice, but it has nothing to do with my Tuesday morning.
But what if we're looking at this the wrong way? What if theory isn't some abstract idea in a dusty old book? What if it's actually the most practical, most powerful tool an educator can possibly have? That's the big idea we're digging into today. So yeah, that's the central challenge, isn't it? Theory versus the real world. How do you bridge the gap between these big, abstract ideas and the messy, unpredictable, totally human reality of a classroom?
Well, here's a thought. Let's stop thinking of curriculum theory as a single, rigid rulebook. Instead, let's imagine it as a toolkit. A whole collection of different tools, different lenses, different frameworks that can help us understand, question, and ultimately build a better way to learn.
So what is it really? The formal definition says it's a set of concepts that gives us a systematic and illuminating perspective. And that's key. It's not here to give us all the answers. Its job is to give us a powerful new way to see what's going on in education. It's a lens.
So how do we organize this new toolkit of ours? Well, we can actually sort all these different theoretical tools into 4 main buckets or orientations, and each one is really defined by the kind of questions it helps us ask.
And here they are, the big 4. We've got structure-oriented, value-oriented, content-oriented, and process-oriented. Each one tackles a totally different but equally crucial piece of the puzzle. Let's break them down one by one. First up, the structure-oriented theories. Think of these as the architects of education. They are all about the blueprint. They're asking, what are the fundamental building blocks? How do all the pieces fit together? What's the logical order to teach things? It's all about the what and the how in a very systematic way. Then you have the value-oriented theories. Now, these are the philosophers and the critics. They're the ones asking the really tough, sometimes uncomfortable questions. They look at a curriculum and ask, whose values are being taught here? Who benefits from this version of knowledge? They dig deep into the hidden messages and power dynamics. All right, now we get to the content-oriented theories. This is where the fireworks are. This is where you find the biggest, loudest debates in all of education. And it all boils down to one single, massive question. What knowledge is actually the most important? Seriously, the answer to that changes everything. And finally, we've got the process-oriented theories. These are the project managers. They're not as concerned with what to teach as they are with how we decide what to teach. They study the nuts and bolts, the practical steps, the real-world models for actually building a curriculum from the ground up. Okay, so let's go back to that content-oriented toolbox because that's where things get really interesting. Depending on how you answer that one question, what should we teach, you end up with wildly different ideas about what school should even be. And here's the classic showdown. On one side, you have the child-centered approach. This says, let's build the curriculum around the kid, their interests, their feelings, their stage of development. On the other side is the knowledge-centered approach, which says, no, there's a core body of knowledge, math, science, history, that everyone needs to master. And that one choice creates 2 completely different universes in the classroom. And that debate connects to another huge divide. What is school even for? Is its job to help kids fit neatly into the world as it is? That's the conformist view. Or is school's purpose to give kids the tools to critique and change society for the better? That's the reformer view. As you can imagine, what you teach looks totally different depending on which side you're on. Now, imagine all these debates swirling around, and then suddenly, this massive wild card gets thrown into the mix: technology. It isn't just another subject to teach. No, it's a catalyst. It's a force that is shaking up every single one of these old arguments. And it's a total game changer. Tech doesn't do gradual. It forces rapid, sweeping change. And look, the focus isn't just about adding a computer lab anymore. It's about weaving technology into the very fabric of every subject, completely changing how we think about what a class even is. So what does this actually look like on the ground? Let's get out of the abstract. The source material paints this incredible picture of what a science class can be when it truly embraces this new reality. Okay, picture this. Instead of just reading a chapter on pollution, you've got students heading outside with actual scientific instruments to measure the sunlight and monitor the air quality right there in their own neighborhood. But they don't just scribble the numbers in a notebook. That data is instantly, wirelessly sent to their handheld devices. The second they walk back into the classroom, it's already on the screen, ready for the whole class to analyze together. And here's where it gets really powerful. They're not alone. They are connecting in real time with other students in different cities, maybe even different countries, all sharing their data, comparing results, and working together on a genuine global scientific investigation. And that brings us right back to our toolkit. You see, that amazing classroom wasn't just about cool gadgets. It was thoughtfully designed using a mix of these theories. It was child-centered for sure, with its hands-on learning. It was knowledge-centered with its focus on real science. And it was society-focused, tackling a real-world problem. So as technology keeps pushing us forward faster and faster, the big question for all of us is, which of these tools will we pick up to build the future of learning? And maybe more importantly, which ones should we?